We are bordered by 5 countries, giving us a unique advantage of trade and regional influence. Yet, with all these blessings, we ask, why is Uganda still struggling? Why are our youth unemployed? Why are our hospitals crumbling? Why are our farmers poor? Why are our young men and women drowning in helplessness, seeking refuge in drugs, betting, and dangerous journeys abroad? Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is very simple and painful. Bad governance, corruption, tribalism, nepotism, selfishness among our leaders, incompetency. And that is why we are here to say enough is enough. We can no longer be silent. We can no longer be silent seeing abductions happening in this country. We can no longer be silent seeing young people lose lives each and every day in this country. We can no longer be silent seeing the green brains opting to seek life in Canada, in USA, in Asia, and in other European countries. We can no longer be silent. We can no longer be silent when each and every solid institution is crumbling to nothing. We can no longer be silent when our young people are detained in jail and never be subjected to justice. We can no longer be silent. Ladies and gentlemen, I charge you not to be silent. It is time for us to rise up. It's time for us to rise up and make a contribution towards the development of this country. But Uganda is not doomed. Uganda is not condemned. Uganda is simply misled. And with your help, with the blessings of the mighty God, we can steer Uganda back to greatness. Our vision is anchored in the 7 ideological principles that will guide each and every action that we take when you entrust us with leadership, and I know you will. We talk of economic independence. We must free our country from economic slavery. A nation that begs cannot govern itself. We must revise our fiscal policy. We must reduce government expenditure. We have to invest in our people and do everything possible to free our country from economic slavery. We talk of constitutionalism and rule of law. Laws must not be written for the poor and ignored by the powerful. Justice must be blind and fair for all. We talk of citizen involvement. Uganda will not be rebuilt by politicians, by political leaders. It must be rebuilt by the farmers, by the teachers, by the media, by the taxi drivers, by the students, by the religious leaders. We have to make each and every Ugandan get involved in the journey of making a contribution towards a better country. We talk of accountability. Leaders must be held accountable. Public office is not a privilege. It is a responsibility. And those with that responsibility must be held accountable. We talk of non-alignment. Uganda must chart its own path, free from foreign puppeteering. We must engage globally, but stand firm for Uganda's interests. We are not going to be bulldozed around. We shouldn't be taken wherever so-and-so wants to take us. We must protect our own national interests. And each and every country that wants to deal with us needs to have that in mind, that we have interests as a country, and therefore we protect them jealously. We talk of godliness. Uganda must be a righteous nation. If we forget God, we will lose our soul. We must put God first in our governance and decisions. We talk of brotherliness. We must be our brother's keeper. Tribe, religion, region should never divide us. We are one people. These principles are deeply explained in my book, If I Became President, which lays out a clear roadmap, a compass of what we can do and what we are capable of doing if given an opportunity to take this country forward. We all know that Uganda suffers immensely with corruption. And we think that what has been employed, the strategies that have been employed to fight corruption, for lack of a better word, are counterproductive. We certainly believe that no one wants to just steal money. No one is born a thief. But there are things, there are scenarios that are forcing our people, that are forcing our Ugandans, that are forcing our brothers to take on a path of unrighteousness. So, for us, when we talk of corruption, we want to address the corruption syndicate from the cause point of view. Corruption can be categorized in two. There is need-driven corruption. Need. People steal because they want to fulfill their needs. That's one type of corruption. Then there is greed-driven corruption. Therefore, if we are to address the issues of corruption that are eating up our country, we need to address them from the cause point of view. What are the causes? Like I said, need and greed. How basic are we investing in sorting out the basic needs of man? The elementary basic needs of man. And what are these basic needs of man? Shelter, to start with. Education. Health care. How easy is it for Uganda to get good health care? I can tell you, if your child is sick and you have to pay 2 million and you have an opportunity to get into the government coffers, you'll steal money. If you are 40 years of age and you've not gotten a plot of land for yourself and built a house, you're going to steal. If your child is not going to school and you have an opportunity to steal, you will steal. Therefore, if we are to address the issues of corruption, we need to address these key issues. And what we mostly point out is the issue of shelter. A civil servant who earns 1 million a month, for example, how easy is it for that civil servant to buy a plot of land in Conway Metropolitan and build a house of 200 million? And these are our civil servants, these are our soldiers, these are the RRDCs earning 2 million shillings. But you are aware that this police officer is going to work for me for the next 25 years. Why does he have to go through the hassle of buying a plot of land and building a house of 200 million in it? And how long will it take? Now that takes us to a substantive investment in the mortgage sector. If we are to fight corruption, because people steal to buy plots of land and build homes, if we are to fight corruption from the need point of view, we need to start by extensively investing in the mortgage sector. Elsewhere, someone should be in position to get a house. He should own a house that he pays over a period of time for maybe 20 or so years. Therefore, that in itself takes away the need point of view for him to dip his hand into the jar to steal. We need to address education. We need to address health care. You see, that there are so many opportunities that we are continuing to mismanage that would have done us good. We're talking about the mortgage sector. We have our brothers they're into making masks and making water. They're sleeping giant. We charge them, and we have to charge them to get into the real estate sector, to have a state bank rooted in the military that can solve the housing problem of this country. And when you're talking of mortgages, we're not talking of mortgages just to be built in metropolitan Kampala. We are talking of mortgages that can be built as far as houses that can be built as far as Kabale, as far as Arua, as far as Mbale, as far as all these places. When we sort out the housing problem of our people will be immunized from stealing, because they're stealing to satisfy the need. We are looking at how best we can capacitate the National Housing Corporation to see to it that it addresses this gap. We are looking at how best the NSSF can come in and invest in this sector so that our people can have houses cheaper. Ladies and gentlemen, many of you here are sleeping on millions. You're sleeping on houses worth 100 million. You're sleeping in houses worth 200 million, 300 million. And that money you just got from your businesses, from your bank accounts, and built, and you're looking for capital, but you're sleeping on money. In the modern setup, we shouldn't be taking that narrative. People should have mortgages that are paid for a period of time, and then money can work for them, create employment opportunities, and the others. Talking about greed-driven corruption, greed. Our policy in fighting greed-driven corruption is government money is recovered at 100%. When you steal 100 million, government will recover from you 200 million. When you steal 100 million, government will recover from you 200 million at 100%. And you will be in jail until when government recovers from your 100 million. That, in our opinion, is to address the greed. People who are just greed, they're stealing out of greed. We hope that will also work. We want to revolutionize our education system. We want to seriously revolutionize our education system. To start with, the classes in primary are going to be reduced from 7 to 6. Because a number of countries, this is not just coming from the blue, a number of countries do not have what is an equivalent of P7. So in seeing to it that we have 6 classes, we are saving on our people's time, we are saving on expenditure in terms of classrooms, textbooks, but most importantly, our children can easily get into secondary school and finish early. The equivalent of P7 is something that we will consider putting off. We are looking at government scholarships being only for students that are from government schools. Let me say this again. Government scholarships are to be from students from only government schools. And why are we doing this? Why are we looking at this in this perspective? We are saying, get back to government schools, get back to Ngogwe Baskerville, get back to Bukit College Kachonga, get back to these mighty schools like Manjas that have the structures, that have big compounds, that have big land, but the operating has a capacity of 3,000 but has 500. But in that midst, a number of private schools are sprouted. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing that has killed this economy, this country, like government's failure to take care of its public schools. Because you see, investors that would have invested money in agriculture, in tourism, in directly productive sectors, are instead investing money in brick and mortar in terms of classrooms. And therefore, each and everyone now starts to move around looking for children to occupy these classrooms. Now, the money that would have been invested in directly productive sectors is instead spent in brick and mortar. It is spent in brick and mortar when a school that I went to, Nkoyoyo, boarding primary school, has a capacity of 3,000 but has 500. So we are literally killing money. And we are the ones, the parents, who are building these private schools in terms of expensive school fees. So we need to revise this, and we must do it as soon as possible, because it has a multiplier effect. We are looking at having our children study from this country, Uganda. A number of our rich friends now have opted at attending. Of course, are foreign so much, but again, they don't have an attachment to the country that they continue to call home. So we are saying that for you want to have a government job, your first professional qualification has to have been from a government institution.